This video is made in partnership with MOFT. I've been using the iPhone 16 and 16 Pro for about a month now. And although I think a lot of people would be happy with the iPhone 16, there are still good reasons why you should go for the Pro model. And we'll talk about those things in this video. And we'll also do a camera comparison against the S24 Ultra and the Pixel 9 Pro. And of course, in the end, I'll give you guys my recommendations. But before anything else, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps out a lot and it allows me to create more videos just like this one. The design of the iPhone 16 Pro is slightly changed this year. It's now 6.3 inches versus 6.1 inches from last year, and although this seems small on paper, it's actually pretty noticeable. The 16 Pro is slightly taller and wider, but it still feels great in hand, and one-handed use remains comfortable despite the size increase. This form factor is just perfect, and in my opinion, this makes the iPhone 16 Pro even more compelling than the Pro Max, especially now that they have the same telephoto lens and the battery life of the Pros have been upgraded as well, which we'll talk more about later. This physical change also meant that the Pro models now have smaller bezels. It inches closer to that edge-to-edge display and it looks really sleek. It can also now go down to 1 nit of minimum brightness, which is noticeable in dark environments, but other than that, the display itself is pretty much the same. I went with the natural titanium this year despite pre-ordering the black one. I just really think that this is the best color and I love how it pairs with cases. And if you guys have been following the channel, you know how much I love the MOFT leather case from MOFT, and that has not changed this year. I still believe this is the case Apple should have created. You can get their cases and accessories individually, or better yet, get the creator kit. It's the most creative set of MagSafe accessories and it's great for working and creating content. Inside you get the MOFT case, which is what I used with my iPhone 15 Pro, and even a year later it still looks like new. It feels great in the hand and it looks so sleek and classy. It has perfect cutouts and the buttons are tactile and responsive. There's the tripod stand, which is perfect for a creative focus setup, and you can use it in 3 modes. Standing mode, which gives you a 0 to 90 degree viewing angle, which is great to be used on a desk. Floating mode, which raises your camera 8 inches for a more flattering video call camera and more flexibility when creating content. And then there's vlogging mode to get you that extra reach when filming. And you can get it in so many different colors. Inside you also get the stand and wallet, which is my go-to for a minimalist carry. With this, you get multiple viewing angles for different use cases, and the best part is this can hold up to 2 cards. And there are a ton of different colors that you can mix and match to get a personalized look. If you need help staying productive, there's also the Snap Flow Note, which is an all-in-one tool to help you stay focused on what you need to do. It has a paper, pen, organizer, and stand, and I created a full video on how I use this, so make sure to check that out. And lastly, there's the Snap Lanyard, which is perfect for exploring. It keeps your hands free and your phone accessible, so you can easily capture the moment in a snap. The Creator Kit has everything you'll need to enhance your iPhone experience, and I highly suggest that you check them out by using the links below. Over the past month of using the iPhone 16 Pro, I found it to be a really pleasant experience. I mean, there's no mind-blowing change here. It feels generally the same as my iPhone 15 Pro, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. The iPhone 16 Pro continues to excel in ways that a lot of Apple users love. The screen looks amazing, it has great colors, and it's really enjoyable for watching TV shows. The sound quality of the speakers is one of the best, if not the best out there, and iOS 18 brought a lot of features that feels fresh, but it also made some things feel kind of cluttered. The biggest thing to take note of is we're very close to the partial release of Apple Intelligence, and that can make a big difference in terms of how we use our phones on a daily basis. So when I get a chance to test it out, I'll definitely keep you guys posted. When it comes to performance, the A18 Pro chip performs just as you would expect. Performance is usually a strong suit for Apple, and that's still true here. It's able to run intensive apps with no problem, everything feels smooth and snappy, and the same goes for gaming. The iPhone 16 Pro delivers buttery smooth gameplay experience. Actually, even the iPhone 16 does a really good job at this, even though it has 1 less GPU core, so this is not surprising at all. But the 16 Pro does offer a better visual experience because it has ProMotion or 120 Hz. After playing a few rounds of Warzone Mobile, the iPhone 16 Pro did feel a little bit warm to the touch, but it wasn't anything concerning, so just like the iPhone 16, I think the new cooling system is working pretty well. Battery life is probably the biggest upgrade I noticed this year. On paper, Apple says the iPhone 16 Pro has 4 hours more than the 15 Pro, but in practice, it's more like an hour to an hour and a half extra. One of my recorded days, I was at 100% at 7:04 a.m. and I still had 18% at 11:49 a.m. the following day, so that's about 28 hours and 45 minutes. And I was using my phone just as I normally would. But I also wanted to test how it would drain in a low battery level situation, so I just kept going until the end of my workday, and I was down to 7% at 4:56 p.m. And if we look at that as a whole, I went from 100% to 7% in 33 hours and 52 minutes, which I'm honestly more than happy with. Of course, a lot of this depends on your actual use, but what this means for most users is that you can easily get an all-day battery life out of the iPhone 16 Pro, and if you need a quick boost, you can always take advantage of the new faster MagSafe charging, which gets you to 50% in just 30 minutes. Cameras are always a big talking point when it comes to iPhones, and that continues this year with camera control. It's a button that's supposed to make it faster to access photo and video tools, but after spending a month with it, I'm just not a fan. I think it's more because of its implementation, both in terms of hardware and software. First, the button placement is unnatural. It's a bit too high when shooting vertically and a little too far to the left for landscape. And as a lefty, it's pretty challenging to use one-handed without unintentionally adjusting settings. And I also think that clicking the camera control introduces some shake into my shots. Second, Apple saying that it's a faster way to access tools is debatable. Yes, it's great for making an adjustments to say only the aperture or only zoom, but say I'm about to take a photo and I'm adjusting the aperture. And while framing the shot, I decided, oh, I want a tighter shot. So if I want to use camera control, it actually takes a few more steps switching to zoom. So it's not really faster compared to just reaching for the screen and zooming in. The few times that I found this to be useful is when my other hand is not free. I'm able to still make those adjustments, but after a month of using it, I still feel like I'm just forcing myself to use it. It's more cumbersome more often than not, so I'll probably switch off the adjustment setting and kind of have this as a dedicated shutter button. On a positive note, I like what Apple did with the refined Photographics Styles. They are basically filters that are context aware, so skin tones will always look natural, and I've been playing mostly with undertones. I think they're great for everyday shots, particularly amber and gold, and I usually reduce the tone to about -40 to -50 to get back some of the shadows and get a little bit more contrast to the shot. What I love about this is you can easily apply these styles before or after taking the shots, and you can also remove them at any point. I think Apple is onto something here, and I wish they doubled down on this and really take it a step further with a future software update. If you want to dive deeper and maybe even start developing your own look, you can always shoot RAW. And one thing you might not know is there's now a JPEG XL option, which basically allows you to have the flexibility of a RAW image at a much smaller file size. So for example, when I'm traveling is when I'm usually shooting RAW. I'm taking photos left and right to document the trip. And before, each of those RAW photos would be around 75 megabytes. And this is awesome because when you shoot RAW, it takes out a lot of the over sharpening that Apple bakes into the image, which is the usual giveaway that it's a phone photo. And it also gives you flexibility in terms of colors and dynamic range when editing. With JPEG XL Lossy, I can now achieve the camera look and RAW benefits with files that are only 20 megabytes in size. And that's almost 75% less than usual. And when you're taking a bunch of photos, that can quickly add up. There's also a new 48 megapixel ultra-wide lens, which also allows you to take 48 megapixel macro shots, but it doesn't seem like it's a huge upgrade. Here it is compared to the 12 megapixels of the iPhone 16. I actually think the iPhone 16 shot looks a little bit better, but maybe it's just not fully optimized yet. I did a camera comparison between the iPhone 16 and 16 Pro in my previous video, so this time I wanted to see how the 16 Pro stacks up against the Pixel 9 Pro and the S24 Ultra, and as usual, these are unedited shots. In ideal lighting conditions, these three phones produce amazing photos. I actually can't tell much of a difference in terms of sharpness and detail. They handle highlights and contrast well, but when it comes to colors, the Pixel 9 Pro looks better. The colors look more pleasant, and I think it captures the environment well. It's also really great with skin tones. Take a look at this portrait shot right here. My skin tone in the Pixel 9 Pro shot just looks infinitely better, and it's also a better representation of the environment that time. However, the edge detection isn't that great at all. On the other hand, the iPhone 16 Pro has great edge detection, although the colors are not the best. It's also not as bad as the S24 Ultra, which I think really struggled here for some reason. The colors look flat, the background is too sharp, and the building is completely overblown. And the same trend kind of continues when it comes to low light. The Pixel 9 Pro handles highlights and shadows well, it looks more natural. So I was really surprised when I saw this 3x shot. I think the iPhone wins here. If I were to rank them based off photo capabilities right out of the box, I would say it's Pixel, iPhone, and then the S24 Ultra. I think they all have their pros and cons, but I'm curious to hear which one you think did better in terms of taking photos. When it comes to video, I think iPhone is still king. I actually did a comparison in my Pixel 9 video, which I'll link up in the cards, and since then, Apple has taken it even a step further. There is a new 4 Studio quality mic, which sounds very good, especially when used with audio mix. You can select from 4 presets that changes the sound profile of your video, and it's actually pretty good. Okay, so right now I'm walking in downtown Anchorage, and as you can see, cars are passing by. And to my right, and I think it's really impressive what Apple has been able to achieve with audio mix. Okay, so right now I'm walking in downtown Anchorage, and as you can see, cars are passing by. And to my right, and I think it's really impressive what Apple has been able to achieve with audio mix. The fact that you can get that kind of quality from a phone is actually insane, and I don't think you need to be a content creator to appreciate this upgrade. I do wish that we can use the same presets in the voice memo app, because I would definitely use this for voiceovers. You can also now shoot 4K 120, and although I haven't used this as much, it's great to know that it's there when I need it, especially now that I'm trying to create more content using my phone. I was super impressed with Apple Log and the image quality that you can get with it, and there are a ton of third-party apps and accessories that's built around mobile filmmaking, and I'll talk more about this in a future video and showcase some of the tools that I'll be using to create content moving forward. Basically, this log profile is like the raw format for videos. It provides tremendous flexibility for color grading, allowing you to achieve that cinematic look to the point that most people won't even realize that the footage came from a phone. And that's why all of these features combined makes the iPhone 16 Pro the best phone to have if your focus is photos and videos. So if you're deciding between the iPhone 16 and 16 Pro and you care about the cameras at all, I think the iPhone 16 Pro is a no-brainer. If you're unsure, I highly suggest that you watch my iPhone 16 review because I compared it heavily to the iPhone 16 Pro, and I think that should help you in your decision making. If you're deciding between the iPhone 16 Pro and the 16 Pro Max, I think the iPhone 16 Pro is the best choice. This form factor is just perfect in my opinion, especially since there's no multitasking feature on the Pro Max, so to me, it's kind of big without a purpose. If you're deciding between the 15 Pro versus the 16 Pro, I would go for the 16 Pro unless you are saving a ton of money by going for the 15 Pro. But if you want something new or you're tired of using an iPhone, then I would consider testing other phones out there. This year, I branched out and tried the S24 Ultra, the Pixel 9 Pro, and the Z Fold 6, and I've really enjoyed using them all. Switching from Apple wasn't as painful as I thought it was gonna be, and I have videos on all of those devices if you wanna check them out. Even though the iPhone 16 feels more like a refinement, I still think it's worth upgrading to if you've been waiting. The improvements to the phone's photo, audio, and video features is pretty exciting, and the battery life is noticeably improved. And I think it's going to be a good step up from an iPhone 13 Pro or older. If you guys made it this far in the video, type refined in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you loved it, subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.